The next generation of Apple Silicon is here with the M4 Mac Mini, which has been shrunk down and is now actually minier than ever. This new version is just about 5 inches square, although it certainly feels like a big computer when it's hooked up to an Apple Studio display and then paired with an Apple keyboard and a Magic Mouse or a Magic Touchpad. So let's start with the physical design. Apple's completely redesigned the thermal architecture inside this new smaller chassis, and all the venting is actually done through the foot of the unit. For connectivity, you're getting 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports on the base M4 model, while the step-up M4 Pro version jumps that up to Thunderbolt 5. In every case, you've got gigabit Ethernet, you've got HDMI that supports up to 8K output, and you've got 2 USB-C ports in the front for easier access, which is something that a lot of us have been asking for a while. The M4 chip is part of Apple's own silicon, and this is a version that's got a 10-core CPU with 4 performance cores and 6 efficiency cores. But what's really interesting, I think, is the 16-core neural engine that's going to be especially useful for AI workloads. The base model here, it starts with 16 gigs of unified memory, but you can upgrade that to 24 or 32, or you can get all the way up to 64 gigs if you go up to that M4 Pro version of the Mac Mini. One of the big new features everybody is talking about for Apple products in general is Apple Intelligence. Now that's a new AI system that runs right here on the M4 Mac Mini, also runs on new iPhones and iPads and other devices. It includes features like system-wide writing tools for rewriting and summarizing, and enhanced Siri capabilities, and art generation, and what's cool is that most of it runs on device. That means it's mainly local AI, so you're not sending your data up into the cloud. Now the base M4 Mini starts at $599 with 16 gigs of memory and 256 gigs of storage. From there, you can expand the amount of RAM and storage, and of course you can also jump up to that 12-core M4 Pro chip, which again jumps you from Thunderbolt 4 to Thunderbolt 5 when you look at the ports in the back. Now, let's talk about the Studio display pairing, because that's what really completes the setup here. For around $1,500, you're getting a 27-inch 5K display, high color accuracy, and the display can output 600 nits of brightness, which is great when you're working in a brightly lit room like this one. The built-in 12-megapixel camera includes center stage, and the 6-speaker surround sound system supports spatial audio. And with the center stage, what that means is if you're on webcam and you're standing back and walking around the room, it can actually zoom in and follow you around. I've played around with this a bunch. It's a lot of fun. So who should get the new Mac Mini? Well, if you're coming from an older Intel Mac Mini, this is an absolute no-brainer upgrade. The performance difference is going to be massive, and you're getting all these new AI capabilities. And even if you're on an M1 Mini, which is a few years old at this point, the jump to M4 is pretty significant, especially if you do any kind of creative work. Now there's a reason the Mac Mini has long been the default go-to for podcasters, for studio producers, and with more and more AI coming into those fields, you're going to want a system that's ready to run local AI, doesn't cost a fortune, and has the preference of a much more expensive machine. But the M4 Mac Mini is not the only new Apple computer hardware that we're here to talk about, and wasn't even the only Mac that got upgraded to the new M4 chip. Turning to the 14-inch MacBook Pro with M4, this refresh offers a similar performance jump as the Mini, but in a handy clamshell laptop. The Liquid Retina XDR display has a nano texture display option, and I've got that right here, and I have to tell you, it's really stunning to see. And it has up to 1,000 nits of brightness, again, good for bright situations like this or being outside, and there's even apparently a quantum dot layer built into the screen that's going to give you even better color. But the biggest thing to me is the up to 24 hours of battery life. That's found on both this, the 14-inch version, and also the larger 16-inch M4 MacBook Pro. Now that's a big jump from the previous generation, which topped out at a still very impressive 18 hours. Of course, like the Mac Mini, there's on-device support for Apple Intelligence, which is of course baked into the Mac Mini, the iMac, the MacBook Pro laptops, iPhones, iPads. You're going to find it everywhere basically. So if you want to check out the new Mac Mini, maybe with the Studio display, or the new M4 MacBook Pro in person, well, then you have got to get yourself down to your local microcenter where you can pick them up, touch them, play with them, and see if M4 Mac is right for you.